Des Moines, and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Oh, good afternoon. 7 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 14th day of March in the Lord's year 2016. The groundhog was right, wasn't he, Bob?
So far, yes.
Do you think we're going to come back and get an Indian winter?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it.
Does it?
You never know.
But we're not even at spring yet. Spring's not for another week.
Right. But, you know, basketball, storms are common.
Yeah.
Even in April and May, we've had snow.
Yep. We got to remember that Easter is a good 6 weeks early this year, which happens every 6 years. I don't know. It's just the way the cycle works. It comes back into late March, because I remember the year that CJ and I got married, which would have been the 11th of May. I think Easter was the weekend before, probably. Anyway.
I don't know.
All right. Now, hold on. I just for the listener at home, don't be shocked. You're going to hear a strange voice that you haven't heard in a long time, and you're going to be very confused. You're going to be thinking you're having a nightmare because the verse is back. We miss you when you're gone.
I know.
Is that what you're trying to prove?
Yes.
You're trying to be the Donald Trump of radio, that if you take the debate off,
what is it
then they'll miss you.
What is it that makes the heart grow fond?
Peanut butter? No?
Absence makes the heart grow fond.
All right. And this show will be completely produced exactly perfect because Ryan's producing. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you. We do it every afternoon here, 3 to 5. And today I've got a special guest who is going to talk a little bit about domestic violence. But I'm not going to introduce her quite yet, because I just want to complain about something, and I don't want her to be a part of that complaint, because she may not agree with what I'm about to say. So I'll introduce you in just a second, okay? Now, also for Bob and Frank, I'll say that the opinions given by J. Michael McCoy are not that of Frank the Verse Thomas, Bob Montserrat, Ryan Northfield, my special guest, Ron Carlson, anybody. It's just my personal opinion. And this may come off a little... Well, I know there's people who aren't going to agree with this. And that's okay. I put a little prayer into this, and I just got something laying on my heart, and I just want to say it. And I know the letters I'm going to get from parents who were just disgusted with what I'm about to say. I hope it doesn't impact you wanting to listen to this radio station and listen to this show going into the future. All right. There was a young man in Burlington, Iowa, I believe 17-year-old young man, whose body was found in an alley last week, and he had been murdered. And I'm always interested in things like this because it's horrible for the family. I mean, losing a kid is bad enough. No parent wants to bury their own children. You know, my kids are all... Next year, my kids will all be over 30. And I can tell you right now, I will break down and bawl like a baby for years if I ever lose one of my babies. Okay? That being said, as I traveled through this story about this young person in Burlington, I discovered, and I made a couple phone calls over to some people I know in Burlington who are with media over there. This young man was... He was trouble in school. Most of the teachers had requested that he not be in their classes. He ran with a group of people who lived the life of people in mob movies. And this young man had not decided what gender God created him to be. And so on any given day, he would go to school with a boy's name and dress like a boy. And on any other given day, he would go to school dressed like a girl with a girl's name. And he had braids and extensions and things that he would put in his hair. Family members are absolutely sure that this is a hate crime, that he was constantly bullied in school, and they feel that this was also a case of bullying. When this young man was confronted by bigots and racists and other people about his lack of choice for gender, I don't know what you say here. He fought back, both physically, emotionally, and verbally. And that was very hard on him. I'm very sad to see this young man die in such a violent way. I hope the people that did this to him are found and prosecuted to the fullest of the law. But I want to speak something here very gently, okay? God created us all with a gender, a male or a female. I know there are some people they have a different name. What's that name? When they're born with
hermaphrodite.
Both. Yeah, when they're born with both. I'm not talking about those people. It's like having a conversation about abortion and you say, well, what about rape and incest? All right, let's take that 1% off the table. Can we talk about the other 60 million we've killed? God created this young man to be a young man. And the confusion that his community allowed, our society allowed, the progressive left end, the LGBT community, that they allowed him to decide what gender he was today and the next day and the next day after that. That's the crime in allowing the LGBT community to say anything goes. Because it doesn't. Anything goes. Anything goes has no part in God's world. God created you to be a specific gender. He created you to be a will of His. And when we follow His will, things like this might not happen. So if you are an individual, and I hope I'm on this list. I'm probably not at the top of this list, but I hope that I'm considered a tolerant person. I believe that Jesus came to forgive all of our sins, not one of them. There aren't any excluded. If you've had an abortion, you're forgiven. If you've killed someone, you're forgiven. If you don't know whether you're gay or straight, it's okay, you're forgiven. Just make sure you ask for forgiveness. We start the show with this, we end the show with this. You ask for forgiveness because as you forgive, you will be forgiven. Pray for this family. Pray for every single human being that is ever born that begins to question how they were created. Return to the Bible. Return to your theology, not your religion. I'm not interested in religion. There is no religion on the face of this earth that is completely right or completely wrong. Now, you and I know which one I think is the only way to heaven. But it's not my place beyond telling someone that there is a clearer, cleaner path to salvation. There is no clearer, cleaner path through salvation, yet through Jesus Christ. But our code is tolerance and love. Tolerance and love. And when we lose that code, when we lose that message that we are to be tolerant, don't have to agree. It doesn't mean you support it. It just means you're tolerant of it. Jesus didn't pull out a whip and take the head off of a Pharisee. But you better believe he didn't agree with him. But he was tolerant of them, even though he eventually was killed by them. So put your prayers up for this family and every family, and be reminded that when you see a young person of any age who believes maybe God got it wrong on how they were created, just give them the gospel. Share with them that God got nothing wrong. And I've seen a platypus, so I sometimes want to question that. But he got nothing wrong. Okay? Is that an okay way to start today? Still love me? You're not really mad at me, are you? You can email me if you're mad at me. That's okay. I get it. I just prayed about this thing all weekend because I really feel strongly that when we move our children away from the message of how God created us and what he created us for, when we move away from that because it's cool, it's the times, it's society, it's what we're growing to. No, we've been growing to sinful nature since the moment Adam and Eve bit the apple. But we've got to keep a firm message that God created each one of us exactly how he did for a singular purpose. And that purpose, you know what it is? It's to worship and glorify him and bring other people to the foot of the cross so they too can wrap their arms around the feet of Jesus and know that they'll be with him and his Father and the Spirit that lives within all of us for eternity. All right. When we come back, a young lady who's as equally passionate about domestic violence. There's a House file in Iowa right now, the domestic abuse bill, and we're going to need your help to try to get this through. Her name is Tiffany Allison. She'll be with us, and that's next, here, live on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21 in the afternoon, 14th day of March in the Lord's year 2016. Ooh, almost got that wrong. A lot of people have been asking how CJ's doing. My wife, she's doing great. Her foot surgery went fine last Tuesday. She is a little slower in getting rid of that pain, and so she's able to stay home from work again this week. Thank you to her employers, if they're listening, to her partners in crime over there at her company. And Thursday, we're going to go to the doctor, and I think he's going to take off this temporary cast and put on a permanent cast. And then I expect her to be chasing me around the house once again. So that's my hope, at least. All right, I want to introduce you to Tiffany Allison. Tiffany has a company, and you can look up her website, Soaring Hearts, SOARINGHEARTS.org. She is the founder and president of Soaring Hearts, and it's the Soaring Hearts Foundation. Tiffany, welcome to Mac's World, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
And I haven't spoken to Tiffany very much about what her passion is. She comes recommended to me by a guy who I've worked with for, 20-some years now, I guess, Chris DeBolt. When everything's working right here on this platform, somehow it's between Chris and Ryan and, yes, even Frank.
And me.
Yes, and so Chris is the head of that group, and he has been a part of my life since I was, I think he was 15 or 16 maybe, when we started working together. He and his wife, Terry, have a passion for making sure that we do all we can to stop domestic violence. And Chris called me up and recommended that I had Tiffany on the radio, and you know what? That's a good enough recommendation for me. So I'm going to be learning about Tiffany and her passion with Soaring Hearts Foundation at the very same time you are today. And so if you have any questions, if you think there's a question that needs to be asked and I missed it, because that happens a lot, you can text it to Bob Montserrat at the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. I'll give you that number later, so grab a pencil and paper. Or you can call our studio line at 515-244-0077. I've said this before, and I want to emphasize this. And Ryan's more honest than I am, so if you ask him, he'll verify that I'm telling the truth. We don't have caller ID here. You're completely anonymous. If you want to call in and say your name is Betty or Bob or Barbara or Howard or even Mr. Duck, I don't care. As long as you're not slandering someone else, then I don't care. You can remain as anonymous as you want. But if you want to share your story or a story you're aware of, or if you want to ask Tiffany some questions, you're welcome to do that. We got the rules of Roadhouse. Just be nice. That's all I ask. This is Jesus is here. Just be as nice as he is, okay? So, Soaring Hearts Foundation. Where did that name come from?
That was a name that I brainstormed about and thought was appropriate for our organization. We passionately advocate for victims of violent crime. And so our logo is a heart that originates in a cage, and then a bird gets it and takes it out. And that's sort of what my experience was as a victim of domestic violence.
All right. Now, you said you are a victim of domestic violence. Is domestic violence and domestic abuse the same?
It is.
It is. All right. And we're going to hear Tiffany's story here as we proceed. But House File 2399, for those of my listeners that like to have a good reason to contact your state legislator. And I said it that way because you know those people I'm talking about. I mean, there can be a beer can, a pop bottle thrown on their front yard, and they'll call their legislator. I think we need something to do about this littering thing. But some of you are as passionate as I am that our legislators need to understand where we're coming from. Meet us here. I don't want to meet you down at the Capitol. I don't have time for that. I want to meet you here, right where my passion is. And so it's HF, House File $23.99, the domestic abuse bill. All right. So, and finding Jen's voice. Does this all tie together?
Yes. Soaring Hearts is sponsoring a screening of a documentary film tonight, Finding Jen's Voice, at Fleur Cinema at 7:30.
Okay. And this is the movie that Chris... Nope. No, this is a different movie. Yep. All right. So that's tonight at Fleur. What time?
7:30 p.m.
All right. And that's the Classic Theater there on the... Yeah, okay. All right. So tell me about your story and how you found yourself in being involved in domestic abuse. Are you from here?
I'm from Maine.
And where did you graduate from?
Sadell High School.
Sadell, good school.
Yeah.
Had you been involved in a domestic abuse relationship while you were in high school?
No, not at all.
Was there domestic abuse in your home?
Not at all.
So it was completely foreign to you?
It was.
All right. So tell me when this began.
I met my abuser in September of 2009.
Now, you just called him an abuser.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like that's kind of an official title that you use for someone who abuses other people?
Yes.
Okay, is that the legal title, the abuser?
No, that's how I
That's just how you say it. Okay.
If I don't use his name, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I don't care if you use his name or not. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So I became a victim of domestic violence in 2009. That was when I met my abuser. We dated for about 9 months. The violence started about 5 months into the relationship and slowly escalated. The incident that made me contact authorities happened in September of 2009, and he took me hostage in my home, beat me for 4.5 hours using his hands, knees, and feet. He hit me with a wrought iron cross until it broke across my body, bit me about my body, knocked me unconscious twice, and urinated on me. I was able to escape the home and call 911. Actually, a friend of mine called 911 for me. He was charged with felony domestic abuse with a weapon and false imprisonment for my assault, sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. But because we have sentence reduction programming in Iowa, he served only 10 months. While I was going through the court process with him, I found out that I was his 5th victim. Dating violence is not considered domestic violence in the state of Iowa. So he had previously been charged with second-degree burglary for those offenses.
Hold on. I may be slow, but dating violence is not considered domestic abuse.
Correct.
Does that mean you have to be married to officially be domestically abused?
You have to be married to, living with, or have children with, or any of those 3 within the past year.
And so you simply dating him, having no children together and having separate residence, they couldn't include that into domestic violence.
For his previous victims, they couldn't include it into domestic violence, but he had moved into my home and we had lived together for over 30 days. So for my assault, he was charged with domestic abuse.
Okay, good. Okay, go ahead.
I found out I was his 5th victim. As I said, he was sentenced to 2.5 years and only served 10 months of that sentence due to what we call the good time policy in Iowa. Within 12 months of his release, he reoffended with another woman and permanently disfigured her face through biting her. He was charged with second-degree burglary, once again, for that assault because it was dating violence and they did not reside together. They weren't married and didn't have children together. He was sentenced to 15 years for her assault and will effectively serve about 3.5 years before he is released, again, due to sentence reduction programming.
My guest is Tiffany Allison. Her foundation is the Soaring Hearts Foundation, soaringhearts.org. She is the founder and president of that organization. On Facebook, it's Soaring Hearts Foundation. All right, help me understand, Tiffany. So when you had him arrested, you found that the authorities knew he had done this 5 times previously, or had been charged with it 5 times previously, or had he been convicted of it?
He had been convicted, but like I said, he was charged with second-degree burglary for the prior assaults. I found out at sentencing. I didn't ask the judge for leniency, but I did go before the judge and ask that they give him any kind of treatment or rehabilitation that he might need in order to never do this to another human being. And the judge was very curt with me and said, I don't know how much you're aware of Mr. Park's past, but he has done this 4 times before, and he has had batter's education and rehabilitative treatment for this 4 times. And if you think that it's going to help this time, it's probably not.
I have a tendency to talk to judges in somewhat of a disrespectful way when I'm before them, because I don't think there's any government official or private official, for that fact, that you should have to tiptoe around.
Sure.
But at that point, I think I'd look at him and say, so you're going to put him away for life. You've just shown me he is habitual, and you've said that the treatment that you have doesn't work. So don't you have a responsibility, Mr. Judge or Mrs. Judge, to remove him from society on a permanent basis?
We have laws here that cap what sentencing is for each offense. And so even if a judge thought that was warranted, they couldn't do that. And then part of the thing that also works against them that we're trying to address with HF 2399 is that sentence reduction applies to every criminal offense unless you're a sexual predator, sex offender, or if you are subject to mandatory minimum sentencing, which domestic abuse is not.
And I assume that there wasn't, how do I ask this? I'm assuming he gets away without being charged as a sex offender.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He's
because
not charged that way.
That's not really involved in his, abuse. Frank?
Was there any history of mental illness, drugs, or alcohol involved in any of this?
I wouldn't say a history of substance abuse or anything like that. He did drink alcohol and things of that nature, but not to excess.
Did that fuel it, or was...
He had been drinking the night that he took me hostage in my home, yes, but we had also had instances of abuse occur when he was completely sober, and that was not, a factor in an assault.
So do you think he's, for lack of a better word, mental? I mean, is he schizophrenic, bipolar?
I personally don't believe
borderline?
So. As far as my abuser is concerned, I feel like he feels like this behavior works for him. He demonstrates a lifestyle of violence to maintain control and maintain power in a relationship.
Demonstrates a lifestyle of violence. Tell me what that means. Does that mean he acts like a tough guy?
Yes.
Okay. See, I have a daughter who's 29 this month, and I have a daughter who's 41. And I hope you don't mind, but that's who I see sitting before me.
Sure.
Is my daughter. And this just makes my blood boil. Not only that he does it, but that we're so poor at recognizing an habitual offender and keeping people safe. Mm-hmm. And you say he's getting out soon?
Yes, he will be released sometime between October and January.
Of this next year?
Yes.
What would the passage of this, how would the passage of this bill impact him in the future?
The bill, basically, if you are on a third strike felony, domestic abuse charge, harassment, or stalking, it's hard to explain because what I'll say about it is the legislature is has a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah. All right, you hold that thought.
Okay.
We're coming up on a break because I don't want to hurry us through any of this. Great guest. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being so brave. Tiffany Allison is her name. HF House File 2399. We'll help you support it in a minute.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed raters free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fix their problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then we continue in Max World Live till 5 o'clock every day, 3 to 5 every afternoon, Monday through Friday. You know, if you ever want to think about how much you care about someone or something, how much you enjoy your job, even on a bad day when you really don't want to be there, think about not having it at all. You know, sometimes doing 2 hours a day in the afternoon, I know, it's kind of like sometimes people look at the preacher and say, well, you only work a couple hours on Sunday. And of course, you know that's not true. People ask me how I prepare for this program. I prepare by having my radar on 24/7. I'm always looking for things that I think you would be interested in. If you go to my website at 993thetruth.com or macmccoy.com, you'll see that my passion is introducing you to people, regular people. Oh, I know we had the rash of political candidates in and out of here over the last 6, 8, 9 months, and I'm so glad that's over. If I see Rafael Cruz one more time, I'm going to scream in Cuban. But I love this job. I love bringing people like Tiffany to you so you can hear real life stories of somebody who grew up in Des Moines. She lives here, right? I mean, I'm sure I could get some national advocate against domestic abuse. I have no doubt, on the phone or Skype or something. But I like hearing from a young lady who lives right here in our community, who grew up in our community, and how domestic abuse or domestic violence is right under your nose. Tiffany Allison is my guest. Soaring Hearts Foundation is her organization. SoaringHearts.org is her website. She's sharing with us a little bit about her unfortunate experience with domestic abuse. You met a guy at Walmart. Were you both just shopping?
Yes.
Okay. And you began to date him. You asked him if he had ever been incarcerated because he was using some what I'd call jail lingo. And he was honest with you.
Yes.
And you felt that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guy can do something wrong, but if he's willing to be honest with it, that's all that counts.
Yes.
And he hit you one day? Slapped you?
Slapped me in the face.
Okay. Anyway, this is a tough subject for me. Will you share how old you are?
Right now I'm 36.
Right now?
Yep.
Tomorrow will you be like 35?
No, I was 29 when I was in the relationship.
Okay. And the only reason I ask her that is because I told you off air, but I'll say it on air. She's right between my daughter's ages. And so when I sit here, it's hard for me to maintain a journalistic role because I feel like a dad. And I can I don't know. I'm not a violent man by any means of any doubt. I've been in 3 fights in my life. And if you can remember every fight you've been in, that's pretty good. First one was 8th grade. Anyway, I won't go through them, but I just can't imagine this. Okay, so he begs you to take him back. He says he's sorry. He'll never do it again. You say, all right, let's give this another chance. He says, I want to move in with you. You say, no way. It isn't going to happen. And one day you come home and all of his stuff is in your house.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
What did you say to him?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out?
Yes.
Okay. Pack your stuff up and don't let the door hit you on the backside. All right, so we'll figure it out. Take it from there, Jen.
So
Tiffany.
I told him that we would figure it out. The violence escalated and started. Well, the violence started again immediately after he moved into my home and escalated very quickly. He lived there for just over a month before I contacted authorities about an assault. Should have contacted the authorities much sooner, but I didn't because I was afraid that they would tell me. My mom is a police officer in Des Moines, and I was afraid that they would tell me that was his residence and he didn't have anywhere else to go, and that they would know my mom and say, you can go stay with your mom, he's going to stay here, and that I would come home to my things being destroyed.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the law says.
And because of that, I at no point realized that I was potentially making a decision between my stuff and my life. I thought that if there was going to be any additional violence, it would be, when I say small, I don't want to sound like any instance of violence is small, but smaller than what led me to contact authorities.
Yeah.
I thought I could handle it on my own, and the truth was I couldn't.
Did you make your mother aware of this?
I didn't. I told a friend about an incident that happened because I'd asked him to move out. I was trying to be really mature about it. I asked him to move out, told him he didn't have to leave that day. But sometime in the next 2 weeks, he needed to find somewhere else to stay with a friend, his own place, whatever that might be. And he didn't want to do that. And after a long discussion, he sort of seemed to receive my message. And I felt okay about it. I felt like he was going to leave. I went out to my vehicle to get my purse. And when I came back in, he was waiting for me. And he put me down on the ground and started choking me. After that incident happened, I contacted a friend and told her what happened. I knew there were additional steps that needed to be taken since he was now living in my home, even if I did call law enforcement, because that was now his residence. And so she called a mutual friend of ours who was a police officer, told him what was going on. He did what police officers do, and he badgered her until she told him who this was happening to. And he then contacted my mom and let her know that this was happening.
And then what did mom say?
My mom came over to my house, and she was working, and she said, get into my car.
Meaning she was on duty?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I did that, and she pulled out of my driveway, and she said, I'm not taking you back there. And I said, yes, you are. I'm 29 years old. You have to let me make my own decisions. I'm an adult, and I don't want the police involved. I don't want my name on any reports down where you work at. I don't want to make a big deal out of this. I just want him to leave, and I think he's going to do that. And she begged me not to go back to the house. And I'm very stubborn, and I told her that she was going to have to take me back, and that even if she called authorities herself, I was not going to tell them anything. And I went back to the home, not realizing that I was making a decision between my stuff and my life. And that was the night that he took me hostage in the house.
I don't know if you came up with that term or wherever, but that's a great term, my stuff or my life. Because that really is what it is. It's my cat, my dog, my stuff, my house, my. And you are wagering your life.
Absolutely.
The Service Legends Truth text line is open, 809-0993. You're welcome to send us a question or a comment towards Tiffany. Please feel free to do that. You can also call at 515-244-0077. Bob?
Yes, I have a question for Tiffany. Was it purely physical, or was it also verbal abuse?
When the assaults were happening, it was both. But, when the assaults weren't happening, he was Prince Charming, to be quite honest about it. Always helpful, always full of compliments, buying me small gifts, just being what you would consider a great boyfriend if the violence wasn't happening intermittently.
So it was pretty shocking when it initially happened.
Yes.
Right. Now, this bill that's in the legislators are dealing with, the bill existed, correct? And it's just being amended. Is that correct?
Yes. So the House File 2399 passed almost unanimously through the House. It passed 86-12. It's now going over to the Senate. So the Senate can amend it to look like whatever they want it to, basically. And then if they debate it on the floor and it passes the Senate, it'll go back over to the House and they'll kind of negotiate what that's going to look like.
And what's the amendment, Tiffany?
So right now it's a third strike, domestic violence, harassment, or stalking.
Okay.
It would mandate that they go through their treatment and complete it before they're released from prison, and that they would serve 80% of their sentence. When the House sent it over, it did have mandatory minimums on it, 3 years for the domestic abuse, 1 year for the harassment, and 3 years for the stalking. I think that's accurate. But I do know that already when it was in judiciary in the Senate, they struck through those mandatory minimums.
What do you mean struck through?
So they
took them out?
They took them out, yep. And they'll send it back over as they sort of want it, and then they'll kind of negotiate how that goes.
All right. We're going to take a break. I've got a young lady on the telephone that wants to talk to you, Tiffany, and her name is Rita, and so we'll have her join us right after this next break. It's an extended show today. We're talking about something really important. There's a movie being shown tonight at the Fleur at 7:30 that's about domestic violence. We hope you take the time to go see it so you can become better informed about this horrible thing going on. We're coming back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcastonelive.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at the top, and then we will continue with Tiffany's story today. Quite a young lady. She holds down 4 jobs. I'm not going to tell you where. That's not important. But 3 of them are kind of within the field that you want to go into.
Yes.
And she is about to graduate from a local college with would that be a double major then?
Yes.
Criminal justice and journalism, or what's it called now?
Mass media journalism.
Yeah, mass media. What's the difference between mass media and little media? Who knows?
Title.
Okay. And she hopes to go to law school and continue this journey that she started on in 2009 when she was domestically abused, violently abused by a man she was dating. It happened several times. He went to jail for a short period of time, got out, and then turned around and did it again, which would be his 6th time.
Yes.
I just. All right, let's go to the phones. You'll want to put those headphones on for just a second, Tiffany. All right, I have on the phone Rita. Rita, you are live in Mac's World. Good afternoon, young lady.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Mr. McCoy, for having this topic on your radio show. I consider domestic violence and abuse more than epidemic. This is an international crime, and it's not going to get better until we all decide it has to change through the law. And hello, Tiffany. This is Rita Whitmer.
Hi, good afternoon, Rita.
Hi, nice to hear you on this show, too.
Thank you.
You know each other?
Through social media.
Okay, good.
I do want you to know, Tiffany, that I took 150 copies of my pamphlet, Understanding Abusers, Helping Victims in Crisis. I took it down to Brad Zahn, Senator Zahn, down at the Capitol.
Wonderful.
And each of them were in envelopes addressed to every legislator.
That's awesome. Thank you
Iowa.
for doing that.
You're very welcome. My own situation for you, Mr. McCoy, Tiffany knows a little of it. I was 21 when a man saw me having dinner with 2 friends in a restaurant, and he began stalking me the next day. By Monday morning at 9 o'clock, he saw me Saturday night, and Monday morning at 9 o'clock, he told his banker's secretary, Modell, I've met a girl and I'm going to bring her down. He was 21 years older than I, and he didn't stop for years. 25 years after I met him, he was murdered by his bride of 6 months with a gun that he had stolen from my brother 21 years before.
Oh, my.
So this person was a card-carrying evil abuser. He did not stop. He was never incarcerated that I know of. But my message to the world is that these people choose, as Tiffany says, a lifestyle of violence, but they choose to be evil. They will target anyone who they feel is innocent enough, who will not overcome them or overpower them, and they are not going to stop. I think that too often victims, as myself, I was 21 years old. I didn't know that men were like this. I had no idea. I went through rape, beatings. It was incessant. It never ended. And I think that victims have got to realize the first time they are shouted at is the first indicator to get ready to run. If they strike you once, end it, be gone, get it over with the first strike. I didn't do that. I'm 66 years old now, and I've committed my life to stopping domestic violence and abuse. I've written a book. I'm going to continue writing, and I have a sole message to victims, and that is, you didn't sign on for this when you came into this world. Your parents didn't want this for you, and you have to stop it. You must. O.J. Simpson and his wife, his ex-wife, if she had moved to England, she would probably be alive today, but she didn't believe the things he said. And when people say they're going to do something to you, or when they do it, anybody needs to believe them.
Rita, I thank you for calling in today. But what do you say when someone says, well, you know, you could have left him, you could have moved out? I mean, after the first time or second time this happened, you're as much responsible as he is because you're not willing to walk away from him.
There's one word that determines it, and that's intent. These abusers are intent upon destroying someone else. The victim, we're going to say a female, the victim is a female, and females are innately nurturing human beings. They want to care for someone. They are compassionate on another level. They're not easily swayed, but they can understand that, oh, I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. Women believe in life. They believe in love. They believe in caring for people, and they believe they can help people. But abusers don't believe in helping people. Abusers are card-carrying, evil human beings who want to destroy, and that's the difference. People who strike you, people who curse you, people who beat you want to destroy you, and that is the difference.
Rita, I appreciate your getting a hold of me and calling in today. Are you local here?
I am. I live right here in Grimes.
All right. Would you give Ryan, would you get her phone number for me? I might ask that you join us on the radio one day.
I'd appreciate that very much. I would be glad to anytime.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold here. Ryan's going to pick up the phone, and he'll get that information. God love you, young lady. He loves you, and you did nothing to deserve this, and thank you for speaking out. All right, can you stay with us a little longer?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. My guest is Tiffany Allison. We're talking about domestic abuse. Your questions are welcome. Seriously, Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. You're also welcome to call in. It's your voice I want to hear at 515-244-0077. We're coming back live here on a radio station that is truly named what it is, the truth.